And we're back for another retro review. It's The Wire. Let's get into it.
Ain't it obvious? I just got the check for depositing. $750 for the sound wave to get it processed. Won't stop till that shit weighing down my pockets. My main things to my main thing. She a blossom. When she ease the pain with the brain, she a doctor. She open up, then a thing thicker than the plot gets. Swear that shit is awesome. Sight for the optics. Young nigga on top. Nike's all I'm rocking, so that all they see is checks from where the head to where the socks fit. No logo on the bifocal, flicking old roach tips. Won't even show my face until all the shows book. Need the cash in advance, leave them all social. I'm the guy they chosen. Rise up like the rose and put them on a poster. All the way up in the sky where the stars posted. Sip it on that rose, I put it down on coasters. Stack francs from the waves till I own the ocean. More praises for the sayings, let it all soak in. They like, hey, that shit is flame, bitch, I know I rode it. Going tight, dumb.
Hey, this is your girl, Ebbie with EBBIE Reviews, and I am back, still on vacation, but this is going to be my retro review for The Wire, Season 1, Episode 12. I don't know. It'll be in the description box. Y'all know what it is. So, we start with the Daniels and McNulty are at the hospital to visit Kima. McNulty is like, oh, fuck this case. I don't give a damn about it. And Daniels is like, no, it's not fuck this case. We need to work it to the end. Otherwise, Kima took a bullet for nothing. And he's like, nah, I need you to get on your shit and get your ass so we can get these people. And he's like, I got her shot for nothing. This was never about the case. It was about me and my ego and blah, 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 and ride him around his shoulders because he did such and such and so-and-so. And Daniels was like, tell us something we don't know. We knew that. Bitch, we been knew. Bitch, you guessed it. But still, at this point, the case does mean something. So get your ass together and stop feeling guilty. So we then go to D'Angelo and Bodie trying to figure out where the re-up is coming from. It says Republican. Autocorrect is a son bitch. Stringer Bell shows up and tells him, give me all your pagers. He's like, we don't use any pay phones, no more pagers. He then gives a burner cell phone to D'Angelo and Bodie. He said, you are the only two to have this cell phone. These are the 3 numbers that is mine. If you need muscle, if you need a re-up, these are the 3 numbers that you need to call. We don't talk no business. You call, say I need to meet you. Y'all meet up, y'all talk in person. That's it. That's all the phones are used to. No actual conversations to be had on the phone. So, we then go to the basement where they're using the stripper girl. They give her some contact lenses because, you know, she's blinded as a bat and she's never have her glasses on at the strip club because who is talking to the stripper with in the glasses. So they get her some contact lenses and she was like, okay, and they're going to get her to wear a wire inside of Orlando's. And so McNulty comes in to see what's been up on the wire, and Detective Freeman has to tell him, yeah, we are completely burned. We're completely burned on the payphones, and he's like, we'll leave it up, but what we're going to try to do is we're going to try and get into Avon's office at Orlando's, because right now they don't have anything on the wires. Avon is talking to Stringer and the attorney. They are cleaning up the loose ends. Like, who is there? Anybody they can go back on? Anybody who they think will talk? Anybody who has any information that would be a detriment to them and their business at this point? And so they're going around cleaning up loose ends. And so the lawyer says, I don't need to know any of what's happening, so I'm gonna go. You just clean up your shit. So Avon and Stringer start talking about, they said Lil Man and Weebay, no, not Lil Man, Weebay and Savino, and I want to say one other person. They said they'll stand tall, they'll take whatever charge, and you know they can't be found. And then they talk about, well, Lil Man is a problem, and Avon said Lil Man was a problem. So clearly Lil Man is going on to glory Jesus. So, Daniels is in the office with Burrell, the deputy Burrell. Burrell, of course, is being a dick. about The Wire. He talk about, you don't need as many men because nobody's going to be on your wire, because they forced them to hit all of the locations last week. So now that nobody's talking, he's like, and you don't even have the stash house because we made you hit the stash house last week. You don't really need as many men. You don't need as many as a manpower. And he was like, well, who do you want to get rid of? And he was like, you can take your pick, whoever you want to. So he says, well, I'm going to take Santangelo. He's like, who is that cop from the pawn shop and the other one? And he was like, Freeman and Presbeluski. He's like, yeah, you keep them. And I'm going to take Santangelo and Sidnor, and I'm going to send them back to their captains. And really, Freeman is like, that's fine, because the people doing all of the paperwork, all the legwork, is the ones you left me with. So, then the girl, Ronnie, the prosecutor from the prosecutor's office, she gets pulled into her boss's office, the DA's office, and he was like, so we know that y'all are pulling campaign contributions and blah, 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 and we just want y'all to understand that our hands are clean. We, of course, don't know where every contribution comes from, but anything that looks funny, we have received some checks and we don't know where they came from, so we are sending the money back. So she's like, what? Because she wasn't privy to the fact that they were pulling campaign contributions to follow the money that Avon was spending. So, D'Angelo meets with Stringer and Avon, and they want to talk about Wallace. And so D'Angelo stands up for Wallace, and he says Wallace is out of the game. And they was like, well, we just want to talk to him. And he was like, he's out, leave him be. So D'Angelo, in effect, because D'Angelo knows what that means. They're cleaning up loose ends. They're getting rid of people. They're gonna try and get rid of Wallace. But D'Angelo's like, I talked to him. He's a good kid. He's out of the game. He's out at his grandmama's house. He's not even here anymore. Leave him be. Leave him be. So Freeman is trying to listen in on The Wire, which is not very good. Chardine really doesn't have a reason to be inside of Avon's office, which is where all the talking is going on. So they decide to come up with a different strategy. So we then see the security guard who changed her story at D'Angelo's original trial at the first episode. She has been murdered because they're cleaning up loose ends. So Wallace arrives in the low rises. Poot bought him a bus ticket to come home. So Wallace asks to be put back in. He's like, and am I going to be back on the money? And Bodie says, well, if we let you back in, you'll start back at the bottom. You'll be a lookout. You can still holler 5-0, right? And D'Angelo was like, no, if my man says he's coming back and wants to be on the money, then he'll come back and be back on the money. And so D'Angelo pulls Wallace aside and has a conversation. He's like, I thought you were out. And he's like, I tried it, but this is what I know. This is home. I don't know nothing else. You know, I'm back in. I'm okay. I'm back in. And he was like, be very sure that this is what you want to do, because you can't get back. It's not a jump in, jump out. If you're going to be in, you're going to have to be all in, and you're going to have to stand tall at all times. And so Wallace says, okay. And he's like, all right. So Daniels goes to meet with Deputy Burrell, and Senator Clay Davis is in the office. And so what's happening is they're trying to get Daniels to back down from following the money. Because like I said, if you follow the drugs, you get drug dealers and drug addicts. If you follow the money and where the money is going, there's no telling how high that goes. So they're trying to punk Daniels into not following like the money and the campaign and stop pulling campaign contributions and figuring out where the money goes. And Daniels is like, as long as you ain't doing shit, you ain't got no business, then you shouldn't have an issue. Well, we know how that's gonna play out. So, shit. So we then go back to the basement, and Herc is dancing on the table because he passed his test and he got promoted to sergeant. And they find out that Wallace is not at his grandmother's house, because now that they know that they found out the security guard has been murdered, they figured out that they're pulling loose ends. So they're trying to get their hands on Wallace and Chardine and make sure they are safe so that nobody else get killed. They talk about Wallace, and he asks if he's built for the work. Oh, so Bodie talks to Stringer, and they talk about Wallace. And pretty much Stringer is like, are you built for this work? Do you have heat? Because they want to kill Wallace. And Wallace says, yeah, I got it. And oh God. So McNulty goes to the original abandoned house that was where Omar's boyfriend was murdered. And they're looking for Wallace because that's where they were living, in that abandoned house. And of course, they're not there anymore. So we then see Wallace and Poot feeding the kids. They're staying in a different spot. It's still abandoned. They're still in electricity, but they're in a different spot. And, Poot is glad that Wallace is back and the kids are there. He's taking care of the kids. He's feeding the children, all that kind of stuff. So Bodie and Poot are talking about Off and Wallace. And Poot is asking, why? Like, why does this even need to happen? And he was like, because that's the way the game goes, and that's what's being asked of us, so that's what we have to do. So, I know my face is real extra. I just want to say that. Halfway through this review, I know my face is real extra. It's going to be extra for my next review as well. But I didn't want this to go to waste, and it looks really good. So, Ronnie, the prosecutor, comes into Daniel's office, and she was like, y'all could have told me that y'all are pulling campaign contributions. She was like, when do you know them to give the money back? And she gives the folder with the money that the DA's office is trying to give back to Daniels. And she was like, why didn't you tell me? And he was like, isn't it better for you that you didn't know, so that you were surprised when they told you? And she was like, I guess. And so Freeman comes into the office, and Daniels hand Freeman the campaign contribution. He's like, is this Barksdale's money? And he was like, he does have some East Side addresses, but we'll check it out and find out. So at that point, they tie this string around Chardine's legs. So they're trying to because they're going to go into the abandoned building next to Orlando so they could drill into where Avon's office is. But in order to do that, they have to have some measurements. So they tie a string so she can walk and guesstimate how many steps it takes to get to here, so they can do the math and figure out where his office is. So, let's see. So Chardine does all the walking, and they get the measurements, and they're able to go into the office next door and drill in and put a camera and a wire in so they can look and see inside of Avon's office. But all they see is them getting ready to packing up all the stuff out of there. So Bodie and Poot are kind of giving Wallace a last supper. Wallace doesn't know that they're at a hot dog spot. They're eating their favorite hot dogs. They going over some fond memories. They then go back to where they're staying, and the kids are not there, and Wallace is looking all over for the kids, and Bodie and Poot follow him into one of the bedrooms, and he pulls the gun, and he was like, you got to be a man, you got to stand tall, you got to take this is part of the game. And of course, Wallace is begging for his life. He's like, why we got to do is this? It doesn't have to be like this. Why we got to do it like this? And he was like, be a man. And then Poot was like, Bodie was talking too much. And so he's like, if you're going to do it, do it. And so Bodie shoots Wallace one time. And, you know, Poot was already in tears because that is his best friend. They've been together forever. They've been in the streets taking care of each other forever. And so then, I guess, so they're in cahoots. So Poot takes the gun from Bodie and he shoots Wallace twice more and they kill him. Meanwhile, while that is happening, while Wallace is being murdered by his friend, Daniels and McNulty have gone to Wallace's raggedy ass mama's house to look for Wallace. And she talk about she gonna fight him because he took $10. Bitch, if you don't get the fuck... You know what? I'm not even gonna get mad. I'm not even gonna get mad. So, Avon goes to his office in Orlando's, and Friedman and Presby are seeing that he's packing up his stuff. Poot tells some girl, you know, to call 911 and say there's something going on in that particular building so that they find Wallace. So Wallace just not sitting in there rotting. D'Angelo is being asked by his uncle to make a run to New York to pick up the re-up because with them hitting all the stash and taking all the drugs, they don't have anything. So, of course, they put a tracker on the rental car that D'Angelo is going to drive, and they pop him coming back from picking up the re-up, and he gets pulled over by the state troopers and arrested. Now, while they are listening to D'Angelo's office talk, Freeman sees an article about a redevelopment project that has $250 million in grants, and he's very intrigued, and he picks it up out the trash. Daniels and McNulty talk to D'Angelo once he gets arrested, and he's like, I just need a lawyer. He's like, what, you want me to write a letter for somebody? And as they're walking, as they realize that he's not going to say anything, and they get up and walk out, McNulty turns and tells him that Wallace, they killed Wallace, and we found him over there in the vacant buildings. He's like, I guess that's how you take care of your own. And he was like, yo man, you a liar, you know, just get my lawyer, blah, blah, bloom, blue, blue. So, Avon is talking to D'Angelo's mama, and Avon is telling him that D'Angelo needs to stand tall on this charge. And she was like, he's like, we all got stuff to lose. You know, I put you in this apartment. I bought you the car you drive. We all got things to lose. And D'Angelo's mama's like, I raised my boy and I raised him right. Him, you ain't got to worry about. So, Deputy Burrell has Daniels in the office, and he was like, you gonna get up off of these campaign contributions in this case. And he was like, because if not, then I have this file. He pulls out this file, and he was like, you know, there was a FBI investigation done, and you came into a bunch of money real quick, and all I have to do is ask the right questions, and you in trouble. And so Daniels turns to him and says, listen here, bruh. Mine is not the only story to come out of the Eastern. And the one thing that I know that you don't like is shit. So you don't want to shovel it. You don't want to deal with it. So you leave me alone, because if not, I know you hate a headline, but there'll be headlines all over the place as I spray everybody. Point blank, period, the end. And Burrell is real mad. Listen. Let's see. So they're going into the club, and Avon and Stringer are watching them and waiting. They couldn't get the safe out of the office, but there's like $150,000 left in the safe, and I guess they're willing to give that up. So they come in, and they were gonna bring SWAT and all this stuff, but Daniels and McNulty was like, this is anticlimactic, not really necessary. So they walk in, they knock on the door, they arrest a little security guard, they walk in, they arrest Avon, and they're taking the money out the safe, and Stringer has his hands behind his back waiting to be arrested too. And they walk off and leave him, and McNulty said, catch you later. So they arrested Avon, but they did, because with Wallace and the security guard being dead, they lost Stringer. They lost whatever evidence they had on Stringer Bell. So they don't have any cause to arrest him, so they leave him there. And let's see, they arrested him. And then at the end, all we see is the empty orange couch. Wait, no, this is what I wanted to. Before the uncle and them got arrested, they send Stringer Bell and the attorney to go see D'Angelo because he got caught in New York, so by the state police. So he in the state police jail, and they're talking and they said, you have to do the change. He's like, just keep your mouth closed to the arraignment, and we'll get you back home. Blah blah boom blue blue. And so he was like, yeah, that's great. He's like, you're gonna have to take. He's like, hey, who's gonna take the charge for this? For all these drugs? And he was like, we'll worry about that when it comes to it. And then he was like, where's Wallace? And Stringer Bell is like, just shut your mouth, mind your business. He's like, no, Stringer, where's Wallace? Where's Wallace? He gets pissed off because he told them to leave that boy alone. He begged them to leave that boy alone, and they killed him anyway. So he told him, I don't want your lawyer representing me. I'll get my own lawyer. Fuck y'all. Where's Wallace? And that's where we're going to end it. So that was my retro review for The Wire, Season 1, Episode 12. I want to say it's called Lessons or Closings or something like that. I'll put it in the description box. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. And I will catch you in the next one. Peace.